investments. Go with trust. Go with Dakota Bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Insurance and investment products are not FDIC insured, may lose value, and have no bank guarantee.
In the past, if you needed auto body repair, you had to get multiple estimates and then try to get your car into a shop for repair. Well, not anymore. In most cases, you can stop by one shop, get your estimate, and schedule your car for a repair. The question now becomes which shop you choose. If you like quality, choose J&J Truck and Auto Body. They have ASE, PPG, and Gold iCar certifications that allow them to offer you a nationwide warranty. And they'll work with your insurance company so you're pleased with the outcome. J&J Truck and Auto Body, 1513 East Philadelphia.
It may not require a textbook, but it's filled with valuable lessons. It may not take place in a classroom, but it's an ideal environment for learning. It may not involve a diploma, but it can help prepare South Dakota's young people for life. It's high school sports. High school sports can play a critical role in a student's overall education. In fact, studies show that students that participate in high school sports are more likely to enjoy greater levels of achievement in their academic lives. If you think high school sports are only about competition, think again. Better yet, think about attending a high school sporting event in your community. You'll be amazed by what you see. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the South Dakota High School Activities Association and the South Dakota Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City. We are Fox Sports! And here's what you need to know.
In men's college hoops, North Carolina has found their next men's basketball coach, and it's longtime NBA coach Michael Malone, who led the Nuggets to their only NBA championship in 2023. The men's NCAA National Basketball Championship game between 2-seed UConn and 1-seed Michigan is almost here. Everything tips off from Indianapolis at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time. When it comes to the NFL, Giants All-Pro defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence has requested a trade. He will not be participating in the team's off-season workout program that starts on Tuesday. The NFL Network is reporting that Georgia Tech quarterback Haynes King has visits this week with the Panthers and the Falcons. In Major League Baseball, after 561 days of no baseball at Tropicana Field, right now the Rays lead the Cubs 6-3 after 7 innings, while the New York Mets have placed Juan Soto on the 10-day IL with a right calf strain. I'm Amancio Bolaños.
It's time for South Dakota's Sports Talk Show. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, great interviews, and thought-provoking sports talk. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, welcome in. Good Monday afternoon. Hope you had a great Easter. Hope you had a great weekend. I took a few days, a little spring break action. We're back and ready. Let's put in some work. Let's get after it tonight. A lot to discuss. National championship tonight. Let's get going. It is always a great day in South Dakota. Welcome in. The Nate Brown Show back and ready on Fox Sports Radio. Appreciate our affiliates across the state, KWSN Sioux Falls and Fox Sports Rapid City. The Nate Brown Show also streaming right now on X. Find us, watch us live on X at Nate Brown Show. Welcome you in there. Also on YouTube, The Nate Brown Show. You can find us. YouTube channel is live right now. The Nate Brown Show. Subscribe to the channel. You've got us good to go live and archive show. There on The Nate Brown Show YouTube channel. You've got us on Midwest Sports Plus. One more place you can catch us, the new high school sports streaming app, Midwest Sports Plus. Welcome in. Hope you had a solid day today. I know it's tough. We're back to it. You had Easter, family, all the good stuff. Hope you enjoyed it. Back to it on a Monday. You know what's nice? College hoops tonight, Michigan, UConn. Let's get after it. A live report from the Final Four. Let's get into this. Anthony Broom covering the Michigan Wolverines. He's the Michigan beat writer for On3 Sports, and he's there covering the national championship tonight. We'll talk Michigan, UConn with Anthony Broom live from Indianapolis tonight. We'll go to Doug Ottewill in Denver. He covered Michael Malone, head coach of the Denver Nuggets, winning the NBA Finals 2023. Now Michael Malone goes to North Carolina today. That just announced. Michael Malone from the NBA, longtime NBA coach, to the North Carolina Tar Heels. Doug Ottewell's reaction as he covered Malone and those Nuggets teams for Mile High Sports. Doug's in on the way. This pro to college test now. We've seen this stuff, college to pro. Not a lot of pro to college. We'll get to it. Chris Denker's also in tonight talking national championship, former D1 coach, Colorado State, Santa Clara. His reaction to the women's title game yesterday and that dust-up with Gino and Don Staley. Did you see that over the weekend? Okay, Chris Denker's in, longtime women's basketball coach. Reaction to UCLA winning it all. He knows the UCLA coach pretty darn good, so we'll get Chris on and get his read on UConn, Michigan tonight. Net Scouts basketball, Pro Basketball Scout. Plus, it's a Reaction Monday. Get ready for your friend and mine. Rob Kegron is live tonight, a full hour next hour with Rob Kegron as our guest host on a Reaction Monday with Rob. Get you in tonight if you want in. We'll do our best, you bet. 605-720-1067. If you know the number, you've got it. 605-720-1067. Join us on the Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline, powered by the Pizza Ranch, East 10th Street, Sioux Falls, and in Brandon. Find us there at 605-720-1067. By the way, Barron's Wilson text line ready to go. We are live there. Text line's open, 605-720-1067. Answer our question of the day and all the good stuff on the Barron's Wilson text line. Okay, we're going to get into Michigan, UConn, and all that stuff. That's the biggest story tonight. So we'll get into that. I'll break that down here later in the program. I do want to tell you, I had a little sports experience over my break. So I just want to bring this into the current state of college sports, and I think I experienced it front and center, up close and personal. So I went to the University of Wyoming this past week. So I have connections to the University of Wyoming. I've been a fan. My brother played 3 years college football there. So if you know my story, if you don't, I'm going to fill you in. I'm a Wyoming Cowboys. I got connections. Josh Allen, had him on the show, all that stuff. Connected to Wyoming, know a lot of folks over there. And I'm rooting for certain guys over there, like Sundance Wicks, right? We love Sonny. You got to love Sundance Wicks. And so I'm rooting for Wyoming. So here's what we did. We went to the University of Wyoming this past week. My daughter's doing a campus visit. Yes, it's that time of my life. It's unbelievable. I'm not going to go there. Campus visit. And here's why I'm bringing this into the show, okay? I'm not going to tell you all about this and the... Here's why I'm bringing it to the show. You know, the one thing that the college sports landscape, I said, I got to check out some of these facilities at the University of Wyoming. I mean, I have to check out what's this D1 school look like in the current state of college athletics, because we know the story is that University of Wyoming is the flagship institution. It's the only one. It gets all the funding. It gets all the support. D1, University of Wyoming for the whole state. And we hear the stories that they can't quite keep up with NIL payments as opposed to the major universities across the country. That's not a surprise. We're talking about the Mountain West and the University of Wyoming. This isn't Ohio State, okay? But I also want to say, wait a second, what is this level? What does it look like over at the University of Wyoming? So I said, can I get a tour? And these guys really helped me out. I really appreciate my guys over the University of Wyoming setting me up and taking a look around. I took pictures. He posted this stuff on Twitter. So here's what I noticed. Okay? I went to the University of Wyoming way back in the day and watched these games. We're talking late 90s, okay? I'm dating myself. I went to all these games and just was right in there. Every other weekend, I was in Laramie, Wyoming, watching football games and the whole thing. You know what I noticed in 2026 at the University of Wyoming? Everything is better. I mean everything. And so I think sometimes in this world today, we think, well, the college athletes, they got to get even more. And that's the narrative today. they got to get even more. They got to get bigger pay, more pay. If you want to win, you got to do this. You got to pay these players. You can't let them transfer. You got to do whatever it takes. And by the way, the University of Wyoming is projecting they would need a lot of money. We're talking millions just for football, like $5 million a year in NIL for football alone. And so my point is, during my campus visit, just to the regular campus and the athletic facilities, since my day back in the late 90s, yes, I understand this is old man Nate. I understand. But I'm telling you, everything is top shelf. If you are a student athlete, you don't have to worry about a thing. You got the best of the best. These are some of the best facilities in the country. And they put a ton of money into this at the University of Wyoming. Just the Mountain West level. We're not talking Texas and the whole thing. So can you imagine that times 50? You take that thing. And so my experience over this past week was I'm looking at the current state of college sports, and the University of Wyoming has put in a ton of money, facilities. I mean, you couldn't touch these. And the student athletes that go to Wyoming, they got it all set, man. They are in good shape. Yet the University of Wyoming still can't keep up with the true business of college sports. And so my point is what? The business of college sports is, to me, it is unsustainable. You keep hearing people argue about this. Well, everybody's making billions, and Jay Billis, the big college basketball guy you'll see tonight, everybody's making billions, and coaches are making millions. But what Jay never points out, the universities are subsidizing all of the other sports so many student athletes can experience the facilities and the experience like at the University of Wyoming. Football, men's basketball, women's basketball at some schools, some of the big ones, UConn, some of these, they're subsidizing the rest of the sports. And Jay Billis and these guys that go on and keep talking about the business and everybody makes money and why can't the players make money? The players can make money, but they never tell you about the expenses of this report. If you guys run a business, you guys understand this. Here's all the money that this business makes. That's gross money. And Jay Billis and all these smart guys, they'll never tell you how much do the universities actually have to spend on the other sports. And so all of these fancy facilities that I went through at Wyoming this past week, all of that stuff was done. Yes, it's heavy football. Yes, it's heavy basketball. But many of the student athletes are experiencing this across the board at Wyoming, and many of those sports do not make the millions that Jay Billis and these guys keep talking about. So nobody wants to separate this out. Nobody actually has an honest conversation. And I get into this tonight because you have this men's championship. You got Michigan, UConn. Okay, big time, right? Michigan has 4 transfers that came in their starting 5. And this isn't like that's a terrible thing. No, that's the business of college sports. You can pick up new players every year. I don't know what Michigan's NIL budget is tonight for that team. I don't know what it is. But they got guys from UAB, they got guys from North Carolina, from Illinois, and people can point out, well, some of these guys didn't fit in their old places, and, this guy wasn't a starter in his old place, and Michigan's done a good job of building this team. That's great. What I'm telling you is most of the universities can't do what Michigan did tonight. Most of the universities at this same level in this March Madness tournament can't do exactly the same thing Michigan can do, building a team with, I know the NIL budget has to be healthy. And great job by the coach, Dusty May, and the whole thing. That's great. But you talk about the level of, and the certain situation in college sports where University of Wyoming's at one level, and I thought the facilities were unbelievable, and they can't quite get their NIL up to the standard that they want to compete at a super high level. And then you've got the University of Michigan's, and they're in this same category. They're trying to put Michigan and Wyoming in the same division, And then they're trying to say the system's okay because Jay Billis is telling you everybody's making millions and the NCAA's making billions. But they don't tell you about the expenses, all of the universities that subsidize the other sports. And by the way, you can say, well, maybe that's just not the right model. Maybe you shouldn't subsidize the other sports. Well, then everybody's going to whine and cry saying there's no other college sports. All of the parents out there that have swimmers, that have runners, that have baseball players, that have softball players, that have soccer players, that have golfers, they're all going to say, what do you mean we put in just as much work to get our college scholarship and go to these D1 universities as anyone else? And that is the case. So you can't, on one hand, say, everybody's making millions and billions, and so the players can just make unlimited and transfer unlimited. We just let them transfer, pay them whatever you need. This is just the way it is. That's a totally separate situation than the other side of college sports if you want to maintain university and college sports. The other side of it is, what do you do with all the other sports? So Jay Billis keeps running around saying, people are making billions off this, yet never a discussion about running the other sports and what it means to have the other sports in Division I college athletics at certain universities. And you can't, even Michigan, they would be strapped to do it as well. Even Michigan, you know how many colleges, athletic departments in the country can maintain themselves? They don't have to be subsidized by their institutions. You know how many? I got this from an AD. 20. So I'm talking nationwide, guys. Nationwide. 20 athletic departments in the country didn't need to be subsidized by their institution. So what does that mean? They had to get money to pay for the other sports. They had to get subsidized because guess what? The Jay Billis line isn't accurate. They're not making billions. He's acting like everybody and their mother's making millions and billions. You can't have it one way. It's just free. It's no rules, no nothing. And the athletes get paid whatever. It's just the way it is because everyone makes millions and still have a college sports landscape with all this other stuff that the universities have to cover. And nobody wants to ever talk about that stuff. By the way, I'm going to ask this question of the day as we get going tonight. Speaking of Michigan, so I want to ask this question of the day. Most of Michigan's go-to players tonight and their starters are transfers that just came in. So I know 4 out of their 5 starters tonight are transfers. Does that impact how you see their title if they win tonight? Some people are saying, hey, Michigan just brought in these players and they paid them whatever. Well, I don't know what they paid them. I don't know what Michigan Dusty May paid them. Some people, and the Michigan fans are going to say, well, this is unfair. I mean, this is how college sports is these days. Nobody whines about who gets paid what. Indiana football had transfers. They paid guys too. Well, I'm just telling you, I'm just asking you my question of the day tonight as we get ready for the national championship. Michigan has 4 transfers in their starting lineup. Does that matter if they win the title tonight? Meaning, yeah, they just paid players and brought them in? Or, no, this is just the way it is. It's okay to pay players. That's my question of the day. 605-720-1067 is the Pizza Ranch Studio hotline. Barron's Wilson text line. So keep that in mind as you're watching this college sports landscape. It kind of hit me right between the running lights this past week. I'm going through the college sports. Some of these places, it couldn't be any better. I mean, the University of Wyoming is really, really nice. Really nice. The facilities, they take care of the athletes. I mean, it's off the charts. Yet they're in one category, and they're not even close to their Division I counterparts, the Michigans of the world. And they're just trying to get there. Tell me how we're going to make sure that D1 college sports is equitable to a degree. I know there's going to be winners and losers, but how do you make this thing come together? I'm looking at some schools that just pay players whatever. They just bring them in like Kentucky. They paid players, right? Didn't work out that well, but they paid players. Here's their NIL budget, and they're throwing it together. Michigan worked out pretty well tonight. They might win the whole thing. They got 4 transfers in out of their starting 5. Does that matter to you if they win the title? That's all I want to know. By the way, to me, it really does not matter to me because I don't really have a lot of patience now for the people that, they didn't do it the right way. They brought in new players. Guess what? When you're a Michigan fan, if you're a Michigan fan, even if you're just a basketball fan, you want to win. So nobody's going to be whining and, they won with transfers. Who cares? Nobody else cares. They're going to win with transfers. If you're a Michigan fan, you don't care at all. I'm going to ask a guy who's covering them tonight from the national championship. How did this Michigan team come together? Anthony Broom, Michigan Wolverines beat writer for On3 Sports, live from the national championship in Indianapolis. Up next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Turn your tax refund into a new garage door at Menards. Make this the year you check that project off the list. Increase your home's value with a new ideal garage door. From traditional to modern, Menards has a garage door to enhance your home's appearance. Choose from our large in-stock selection or design your own using our free garage door design program. Check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
All kinds of vehicles, all kinds of loans, all as low as 4.99% APR. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we're here to help all kinds of people, just like you. Get moving. From truck drivers to van warriors, we got the right loan to fit your style with rates as low as 4.99% APR. Wherever the road takes you, start with BHFCU. Apply today at bhfcu.com or text or call 605-718-1818.
Offer subject to credit approval. BHFCU is member-owned and insured by NCUA.
Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is everywhere you need us to be. On the sidelines, supporting our local athletes, at our clinic locations throughout the region, and at our Ortho Express walk-in clinic when you don't have time to wait. We're here when you need us, working as a team to make your comeback stronger than ever. Getting stronger, getting better, getting you back to your best self. The life of an athlete has its uncertainties, wins and losses, injury and recovery. In the Black Hills area, athletes can always count on Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, here for whatever moves you.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Chance for showers this afternoon. Otherwise, cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 42. Southeasterly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected again tonight. Lows dip down to about 27. Mainly sunny skies tomorrow. Highs level off around 68. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, 39.
If you want the peace of mind that your next pre-owned vehicle is the best it can be, you want Honda True. And you only find it at Danny Manholt Rushmore Honda. Our Honda certified pre-owned vehicles are thoroughly inspected and backed by 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain coverage, up to 2 complimentary oil changes, 24/7 roadside assistance, inspection report, and 3-day exchange. You simply can't buy the wrong vehicle. Search our inventory at honda-true.com or see us at Denny Manholt Rushmore Honda.
Everybody knows to have success on the court, your team needs the right strategy. And it's no different with life insurance. Your team at home is counting on you to have a strategy when things get tough. Lee Cruz, agent with New York Life Insurance Company, is ready to help you make sure the most important people in your life are protected. Get a no-obligation, free quote fast. Just Google Lee Cruz New York Life. Don't risk it. Make the right play. Give your family financial comfort with life insurance. Get your coverage options with Lee Cruz New York Life, 605-360-8804. Google Lee Cruz New York Life.
Stuck in a state of falling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, your finances, your insurance, your life? This is State Farm Agent Matt McCormick. Let me help you simplify and get to a better state. With me handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. Even more money, too. Because adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40%. Call me, State Farm Agent Matt McCormick, and get to a better state with State Farm. 348-0464.
Live callers, big-time interviews, and breaking sports news. This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show, The Nate Brown
Hey, welcome back in. We're getting going on a Monday. The Nate Brown Show live on Fox Sports Radio. Glad you're here. It's a Reaction Monday coming up. Rob Kegron, our guest host, national radio host Rob Kegron, live in studio every Monday. Reaction Monday. We'll break down Michigan UConn coming up, make our picks. A lot to discuss tonight. Let's go to the national championship. He's covering it. Indianapolis, Michigan writer on 3 Sports. It's thewolverine.com. Anthony Broome getting set for Michigan UConn here in a little bit. Anthony, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing great. Anytime you come into a college basketball season, for a lot of people, it's kind of a dream to be able to cover the last one. So a huge bucket list weekend for me, and cool to be able to cover the last Monday night of the year.
Well, it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be super night for Michigan, I think. We'll see how this goes. UConn's championship pedigree. Let's go back to Saturday. I wanted to get your take on Michigan's dismantling of Arizona. I'm watching that going, well, Arizona's been really, really good. What did you think of Michigan Saturday night?
My first reaction was that I was shocked, and not because I didn't think Michigan wasn't capable of that, but because Arizona from wire to wire this year had just been so consistent. And, the 1 week where they kind of slipped up and fell off their standard was, they played on a Monday night at Kansas, and Bill Self never loses in that game. And Koa Pete went down in another game, and I think they lost to, I think it was either Houston or Iowa State. But regardless, no one had done that to Arizona all year. And, the gear, the relentlessness that Michigan showed in that win is a gear that, quite frankly, we've seen all year. And for some reason, the pundits and the talking heads seem to downplay or not mention at all. So I wasn't totally surprised. I think part of the surprise is how it looked with Yaxel Endeborn being injured.
Yeah.
But the way this team has all year is they've rallied around guys. Not everyone has their best on a given night, but what everyone brings to the table in the aggregate has put them in the spot that they're in now.
I want to ask you about the makeup of the team. So there's a discussion going around saying, well, Michigan's got a bunch of transfers. They got a bunch of transfers. 4 out of their starting 5 tonight, they transferred in. So there's this argument, well, they got a bunch of transfers, so this must be the NIL budget, and that's how you win this basketball season. You got to have money, and you got to put a transfer team together. Is that fair of the Michigan makeup?
I don't think so. I mean, that's we see this in college football. We've seen it, in other sports, in the NIL era. This is the cost of contending now. And, they've been fighting off this narrative all year that these guys are a bunch of portal mercenaries and, it's the best team money can buy. I would flip that and say Michigan spent the resources it had extremely well. They evaluated, coming into the season. I mean, you go back and look at some of the quote tweets and replies from, John Rothstein had a tweet where saying that Dusty May was, brought in these 3 big guys this year, and they were all probably going to start, and people laughed at him and laughed at Michigan and said they were just kind of throwing stuff at the wall. But, the buy-in, the way that they've tinkered and developed these guys, every guy that's been brought in, it hasn't just been they are who they were at the last place they were in. Everyone's added something different to their game and brought a different sort of flavor and touch to this team, and I think that's why they are where they are. And it helps, too, to have one of the best tacticians and game planners and coaching staff in the sport as well. So, these are remarkable people, remarkable guys that they brought in. They've completely given themselves to the process, and, all of them were highly rated either transfers or recruits, and all of them have kind of had to give up something to get to the common goal that they've had, and that's worked for them here. So, again, anyone who wins the national title now is going to have to fight off this narrative. Oh, well, look at all the money they spent on their team. But that's just the reality of how this sport is now. And even relative to what other teams in the Big Ten spent on their rosters, Michigan got a bargain on a lot of these guys, to be frank with you.
Anthony Broome on tonight, Michigan writer on 3 Sports. It's thewolverine.com covering Michigan UConn tonight from Indianapolis. Find him on X at Anthony T. Broome. So is Dusty May underrated? You talked about his game planning, all of the things. I don't see him talked about amongst the best of the best. This is a big night for him. Is he underrated in the country?
I don't know that he's underrated anymore. But when you play this game against a guy in a program, a guy in Dan Hurley in a program like UConn, where you make the argument pretty easily that Dan Hurley is kind of the class of this sport right now. Dusty, I knew everything I needed to know about Dusty May when he got FAU to a Final Four, and I know the narrative around that was always, it took for a 16 seed to beat Purdue to get there. But you know what? It's so hard to win these tournament games. It's hard to win one. When you win 4 to get there, that's remarkable. It's even tougher to win 5 and to put yourself in a spot to win a national title. So I don't even think he's underrated. I think that what these last 3 years have shown is that Dusty May belongs in that conversation too. And if he gets a national title tonight, he's going to be right up there at the top of the list.
How about Lindeborg? I'm watching him. He looked banged up to me, and he comes back and plays in the second half, and it sounded like he really wanted to. What do you think of him tonight?
Sounds like he's going to go. All the imaging yesterday came back clean. It's pretty much a pain tolerance thing, and he and both Solo Ball from UConn actually weren't on the injury report at all last night that was released. So last game of the year, these guys are all banged up. Yaxel more so than others, given that it's a knee injury, ankle injury, but he's been pretty much had round-the-clock treatment with Michigan trainer Chris Williams over the last 40 hours or so, or whatever it's been. So whatever he's got in the tank, he's gonna give it a go.
What do you think if he's not 100%, which I don't think he will be, does that hurt them big time? I mean, it seemed like they didn't miss a beat. They played really well against Arizona, but how much do they need him tonight?
I mean, certainly if he's out there even at, let's just say 70%, 80%, that still makes Michigan a better team. I think it's, like I said, this is supposed to be the clash of the Titans on Saturday night. You lose Lindeborg early, and Michigan not only doesn't skip a beat, but they extend the lead, and they eventually get up by 30 in the second half because of all these other guys that kind of stepped up and filled the void. And that's what they've done all year. And I'll be honest, I mean, it certainly makes this a little more of a coin flip than maybe it would have been, or maybe the analytics would say this game would be. But I tell you what, you've got guys, Roddy Gale, has all league talent, has been great in March. Namari Burnett, Will Cheddar, those guys have played a lot of college basketball and are ready for this moment. Trey McKinney's a freshman that has come out of, there was no freshman wall with him. He came in from day one and has just been kind of an unflappable contributor to this team. So, as long as Adai Mara and Marez Johnson stay out of foul trouble and Elliot Cadeau is seeing the floor as well as he has, I don't think this Michigan team is going to let up tonight.
Anthony Broom on tonight from Indianapolis. Couple more. Let him run. Find him at thewolverine.com, part of the On3 Sports Network. Michigan writer covering the national title. So I want to ask you about UConn. What do you see from UConn? Everybody says, well, Arizona, that was the national championship Saturday. I'm not so sure. UConn, man, they're tough. They're really tough. What do you see?
Well, I hope Dan Hurley wasn't listening to any of that, because if he was, that's fuel for him. He is that guy's a force of nature, and like I said, a guy that I consider the best coach in this sport right now. UConn is game. Like their off-ball actions, their constant motion is something you're going to have to be prepared to defend all 30 seconds of that shot clock. And Michigan likes to play fast. They want to get up and down the floor and run. And UConn's going to try and drag them into the mud here and get them in a low possession game than Michigan wants to play. And the reason Michigan wants to play as many possessions as it does is to kind of cut down on the variance of the bounce of a basketball or a play here or there. So, they have the goods. I think they're probably a notch below. Certainly I think they're a notch below those two title teams that UConn had. But, whenever UConn gets here, they win the damn thing.
Yeah.
They're 6-0 in this game. This is what that program does. And, there's all these analytic thresholds that they say you have to have to get here. Whenever UConn's won, they've fallen out of those thresholds. They've kind of been threshold proof when it comes to the KenPom stuff. So, I think we're going to know early on what kind of game we're in for. But then again, Michigan could get out big, and then, you don't want to have a Duke situation where, they let that lead slip away. And I don't think Michigan would if they were able to kind of get their hands on it here. But this is going to be a 40-minute dogfight, because even if UConn's down, they're not going to stop playing.
Michigan favored by 6.5. Just saw the number. Michigan favored tonight over UConn. Anthony Broom covering it. How crazy is it, Anthony, to say if Michigan wins tonight, first title since 1989? That's wild to me.
Yeah, and we're talking about a program that, I know when they have lows, they've had some pretty low lows. But, since that 89 title, there's been the Fab Five getting to the national title game twice. John Beilein got there twice. This program has lived a lot of basketball life in these last 37 years. And quite frankly, it just feels like time. The last couple times Michigan's gotten here, they ran into, a Louisville team that was kind of a team of destiny in 2013. And then you run into the Villanova buzzsaw in 2018. They are the buzzsaw now. They are the storm. And it's hard to see them getting denied, because they don't get fazed by any of this either.
Anthony Broom on tonight. Appreciate his time. Follow his work tonight on 3 Sports, thewolverine.com. He's on X at Anthony T. Broom. Enjoy it, man. I appreciate you hopping on. Thanks a lot.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate your time. Anthony Broom covering Michigan Wolverines basketball. The Michigan beat writer for On 3 Sports, thewolverine.com, live from Indianapolis. Little insight. He said Dusty May, the real deal. Michigan not going to be denied tonight. Hang on a second. The Nate Brown Show has a little prediction coming up. Going to be tight tonight. Going to be really tight. I think everybody's crowned Michigan already. What are we doing? By the way, who do I want to win tonight? Who do I want to win? I want Michigan. I want Michigan. You think, yeah, you don't have a dog in the fight. You're a Duke fan. Yes, I'm a Duke fan. UConn got lucky against Duke, so I want Michigan tonight to show, yeah, this is the best team tonight is Michigan. UConn kind of got their way there and beat Illinois. That's fine, but they, I think this is going to be really tight. I'm not going to crown Michigan yet. I think it's really, really bad deal for everybody out there tonight. Do not think Michigan runs away with this. Do not think Michigan runs away with this. Everybody thought Saturday night, it's over. They blew out Arizona. This is over. UConn is going to take these guys to the wire. UConn will take these guys to the wire. Reed down low against Mara. Okay, Reed and Mara. Watch him tonight. Mara, big guy. Big guy. Reed, more athletic, stronger. He might get his lung knocked loose tonight. Mara might get his sternum. Anyway, so it's going to be rough down there. Going to get rough. Let's see. Lister text coming in from a Michigan fan. Nate, stop being a hater. Go blue. Hail, hail. I'm not. I just told you I'm going for Michigan. I'm going for Michigan. And then my question of the day is, does it matter if they brought in all these transfers and then they win tonight? Does that matter to you? That's my question of the day. 4 transfers out of starting 5. To me, that does not matter. It does not matter. That's the world we are in right now. I don't hold it against them at all. I don't hold it against them at all. I mean, that's what everybody does right now. Everybody goes and you have to try and get the best players. Isn't that the point? You're trying to win. This is big boy basketball. I mean, think about it. There's youth transferring all over the place, and why do we do that? Because we want to get on the winning team. We transfer every which way because we want to be winners. And then we expect Michigan to just, they got all these transfers. Who gives a rip? I don't give a rip. So no hater against Michigan. No hater. It should be Duke and Michigan, I will tell you that. Hey, by the way, who beat Michigan earlier this year? Anybody know? Hey, the Duke Blue Devils, you might remember. Doug Ottewell coming up from Denver, Mile High Sports. He covered Michael Malone. Michael Malone, the head coach of the Denver Nuggets, now goes to North Carolina NBA to college basketball. How's Doug think it's going to work with Malone and Chapel Hill? Coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sports.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
At Renewal by Andersen, we handle everything from start to finish and beyond. We are your full-service custom replacement solution. Buy one Acclaim replacement window or ensemble entry door and get the second 40% off with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Plus an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. Don't wait. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait? There's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation. Upgrade to your forever home? I have been helping people in the Black Hills find the right home for nearly 20 years. When it comes to buying or selling, experience matters. Let me do the work, and you can open the door to your new home. Say hello to a good buy with me, David Brenneman. To get started, just Google David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, also streaming right now on X. Follow us and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show.
Hey, welcome back in. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live on a Monday. National championship tonight. UConn, Michigan on the way. Our question of the day, does it matter to you that Michigan has 4 transfers in their starting 5? Does it matter to you that Michigan has 4 transfers in their starting 5? It does not matter to me at all. And I am an old man yelling at the clouds. I don't like this mess we've got going. But it's the game. What are you going to do? It's time to win now. You got to win, man. So I don't feel sorry. Oh, they got all these transfers. That's the ball game. I don't like the ball game. That's the ball game. So let's not whine. But you tell me, 605-720-1067. Michigan, UConn coming up. We'll talk to Chris Danker former D1 head coach at Colorado State, Santa Clara. I'm going to get his reaction to the women's championship yesterday. He's been a long-time women's coach as well, so Chris Danker on the way. Doug Ottewell's in tonight from Denver. I just went to Denver over the weekend. Really enjoyed it. Had a good time. Went to Nuggets Spurs, the best game of the NBA all season long. I think I got it. I picked it. It was a dandy, and the Nuggets won it in overtime. It was wild. Doug Ottewell is in. He's covered the Nuggets and more. Mile High Sports. Doug, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm jealous because I was not able to go to that Spurs game, and it was the game of the year.
It really was. By the way, I'm going to get into some NBA stuff in a little while, but Jokic beats Wemby, and I think people want to say Wemby's the guy now. He's the guy. Do you still think Jokic is actually the guy? Who's the guy?
I mean, I don't want to ride the fence, but I think on any given day, either one of those guys could get the best of the other guy. I mean, it was that close. And you know what I would say? I think this is the last year of Wemby not being the guy. I mean, he's a force. And not that Nikola Jokic isn't. I mean, he does special things all the time. What I like about that is you got to see what kind of competitor Jokic was. Not that we didn't think that, but on a national stage, the two best big guys. I mean, in my mind, the two MVP candidates for this season going head to head, and he wanted it. You know, I mean, it wasn't just hey, we're going to go through the motions and whoever has it the best at the end of the game wins. I mean, both guys wanted it, and I thought it was a treat to watch kind of the current best versus the gonna be the best. And I like watching both of those guys play, and they bring different things to the game. Obviously Jokic is a better passer and kind of runs that offense. But I mean, Wemby changes the dynamic of the game every possession just by being there.
Yeah. No, it was wild, man. It really was. I said, okay, this is the game we're going to. We only go to like one game a year. And I picked the NBA game of the year. It was crazy. 136 to 134. Nuggets win. By the way, Doug, the only thing I'm talking to my family about, I'm like, I know the NBA, it's a long season. Sometimes you're going to give up points, the whole thing. Can the Nuggets play enough defense to get too deep in the playoffs? They got to play D.
One thing I learned from that game, and I think people were reminded of it, is that the Nuggets, I don't think the Nuggets can win anything, especially as it pertains to your question about defense, unless Aaron Gordon's healthy. I mean, you talk about the matchup between Jokic and Wemby, but the real difference in that game, if people were watching closely, came toward the end when Aaron Gordon essentially was given the assignment of Wemby cannot score. And he played as good a defense as you could possibly play on a guy that, I mean, Aaron Gordon's giving up almost a foot.
Right.
And, but he's so strong and he's so smart. And I mean, he's just he always has been a great defensive player. And I think that's the key for the Nuggets. I don't think they can win unless he stays healthy, and I have my doubts about that. If Aaron Gordon stays healthy, I do think they can win. Do I think they'll win? I'm not betting on them. I still think the road goes through OKC. I actually think the road probably goes through San Antonio first too, even though they haven't quote unquote been there, done that, but. I think if the Nuggets can be healthy with Aaron Gordon as part of that equation, they can win, and that's how they play defense. If he's not there, I don't think they're good enough defensively.
Yeah, I believe that. Doug Ottewell on tonight from Denver. What a game. Nuggets Spurs, that was one of the best I've seen when it comes to NBA, and they say the game of the year so far in Denver this past Saturday. Okay, speaking of the Nuggets head coach Michael Malone won the title 2023. Now he's been out of basketball, and he gets the North Carolina job today. He's going to take the North Carolina job. When you saw that headline come across this morning, what did you think?
Well, I was surprised, really. I mean, I think Michael Malone is a guy that I would have bet got an NBA job first. So I think surprise is my first reaction. That's an interesting one, though. I think it's going to be interesting. I'll put it that way. That's my first assessment I think Michael Malone's a good basketball coach, but that's gonna be a really fun one to keep an eye on.
Okay, so you say interesting, Doug. You gotta fill me in on this. You followed Michael Malone. You saw how he's coached. Some people thought he was too tough sometimes for the NBA. 82 games. You got to let these guys be their own guys. You got to be not so crazy at timeouts and not so angry. Is that going to work in college? It's different now. He can kind of get after guys. Look at Dan Hurley. Look at some of these guys. Does that work?
Well, I think Dan Hurley is a good example, and also to some extent an outlier because of how good he's been. I think college kids want structure. I think they want to be coached, but I also think, they are not so unlike NBA players anymore that the tough love, hard mentality that Michael Malone brings, they can also hit the transfer portal. Michael Malone, there's some good things that Michael Malone brings to this equation. One is I think he is a phenomenal basketball coach. I think he understands X's and O's, personnel, defense especially. I think there's a lot of things that he brings to the table that would benefit any basketball team. I think the things where I say interesting and the things where I kind of have my doubts are, one, kind of that hard old school approach. I think that's a coin flip for any player. And when you talk about kids that are going to North Carolina in general, that's the bluest of the blue chip recruits. And those kids can go anywhere. So if you're going to North Carolina and you have a coach that doesn't sit well with you, you go somewhere else in a heartbeat, in my opinion. So I don't know that he can necessarily play the tough guy role with them. And like I said, I think every kid's different. And in college, when you recruit, maybe that's how you change your, hey, are you a kid that wants to be coached? Are you a kid that can take some criticism? And whether that's learned through, conversations with that kid or his former coaches or whatever, it may be a matter of recruiting that type of kid. But like I said, I think the best kids go to North Carolina. So if you're an uber talented, 5-star and you have too much of that in your ear, I'm not so sure you stay. The other part of it
Go ahead.
The other part of it that I think, and this is something that I think Nuggets fans specifically can sort of relate to, is that Michael Malone showed over the course of his tenure with the Nuggets, he showed a real favoritism toward veterans, older guys, players that he trusted. Sometimes he would pick sturdy over talent. And I think that in college, that's an interesting dynamic because you're not going to get 5 seniors. You're not even going to get 3 seniors most of the time at a school like that, that are contributors anyway. I think in the NBA, when he was given rookies, and you can, debate all day whether or not Calvin Booth or Michael Malone was right in their approach. But really, it didn't matter because Michael Malone didn't play them, didn't trust them, didn't want to give them minutes, didn't want to figure out how they fit into a rotation. So I think it's going to be interesting when, in the college basketball landscape, you don't have players, especially if they're good, who stick around for 4 years, not even 3 years if they're good enough.
Yeah.
So I think that's a real big shift that he's going to have to make. He's going to have to award playing time to kids who have not been there for a long time. He's going to have to award playing time to kids that are, highly talented versus ones that maybe aren't as much but understand the offense or play, in his mind, acceptable defense. I think it's just going to be a real balance for him because, you're going to have to get to know your personnel real fast and trust them.
Here's the dynamic I can't quite get. I don't know. You covered Mike Malone, and he wins with the Nuggets and the whole thing, but now going to the college level. This has been a long-time NBA coach, not just with the Nuggets. I mean, he's been to the NBA over 20 years.
He's a lifer.
Right. So how does he go from that to now he's going high school recruiting. He's going transfer portal recruiting. I don't know about how that works. People think about, hey, Bill Belichick to North Carolina. That didn't work. And now we got Mike Malone to North Carolina in basketball. It's different, but he's going to have to recruit now. I have no idea about that dynamic.
Yeah, I'm real curious about that too, because he doesn't strike me as a guy that would go in and wow a kid. But I will say this: I think it more so in basketball than in football. Recruiting can be handled by your first and second assistants, and sometimes even your basketball ops guys. I mean, I don't know how every university works, obviously, but one example that I can think of, Jeff Linder, who we talked about on your show a few times. He was a head coach at UNC and a head coach at Wyoming. He got hired on as essentially a first assistant at Texas Tech. And I know Jeff to be an excellent recruiter. And I'm not saying that their head coach or other coaches in the Texas Tech program doesn't recruit, but my guess is that that's one of the reasons that Jeff was brought into that job, because he's a great recruiter. So if you're a head coach that wants to, focus on the X's and O's and the type of player you want, I'm not so sure it's inconceivable in college basketball that you can't find one or two guys you really trust to be your recruiting guys. In football, it's different. I think, it's such a huge pipeline. You have to have so much knowledge. I think that the entire staff that's involved in recruiting, NIL plays a big part of it. I'll be really curious to see how Michael Malone, kind of handles NIL. You get a guy that makes a couple $1 million a year to play in North Carolina and doesn't want to do what he wants him to do right off the bat. Like, how's that going to play out? I'm just, like I said off the outset, it's interesting. I want to watch that just to see what happens.
How about that? Bill Belichick to North Carolina football, Michael Malone from the Nuggets to North Carolina for basketball, and Michael Malone's daughter playing volleyball at North Carolina, by the way.
That's a really cool dynamic. I mean, that's awesome that he's able to go there and be on the staff and watch her here and there.
That'll be interesting. As you say, Doug Ottewell on tonight. Covered Michael Malone and the Nuggets over the years. Mile High Sports. Doug, good to have you, man. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Nate.
Thanks a lot. Doug Ottewell from Denver. Mile High Sports live tonight with D. Ottewell on Twitter. Michael Malone going to North Carolina. Head coach for the Tar Heels from the NBA. He's never been in that level. And now you're going to have to whole new ball game. What does Chris Denker think about this? Chris has been a college coach, a Team USA coach, so he's been around pros, international, college. What does he say about that dynamic? Plus, I want to get Chris's take on the title game tonight. Chris Denker, D1 head coach, Net Scouts basketball, coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Spring is here and Splash City is blooming with savings. It's their spring kickoff sale. Your backyard retreat is calling. Imagine relaxing, soaking away the day in a brand new sun dance or jacuzzi spa from Splash City. During the spring kickoff sale, get 0% financing for 72 months or save up to $5,000 in instant rebates. Why Splash City? Highest quality brands, largest dealer in spas and hot tubs in the region, and you get huge savings every time. Don't wait. Visit Splash City in Sioux Falls, Rapid City, or Sioux City today.
Mom, can we please go to Waitiki Indoor Water Park Resort?
Waitiki? What's so special about it?
Are you kidding? It's got slides, fountains, a lazy river, everything. And it's just a short drive to Rapid City. If we stay at one of the hotels, we get water park passes for free.
Wow, you really did your homework. Okay, what do you say we pack our swimsuits and hit Waitiki this weekend?
Yes, best mom ever.
Unlock your adventure at WaitikiWaterpark.com.
At Dakota Discount RV, we're in it for the long haul, just like you. Whether it's cross-country adventures, weekends by the lake, or family time under the stars, we're here to keep you rolling for years to come. While others are packing up, we're doubling down with dependable service, great prices, and the biggest selection in the region. Your journey doesn't stop here, and neither do we. Here tomorrow, here for every mile ahead. Visit us in Rapid City or Somerset or online at DakotaDiscountRV.com.
I am here with Weston and Tanisha Chapman from Black Hills Tire.
We're the neighborhood shop for the whole town because we will pick up and deliver anywhere in town. We will do whatever we can to help anybody.
It's important to us that somebody can say like, hey, my mom needs something. They need this and I know you'll take care of them. I think that means more to us than anything is when somebody will say like, I need somebody in my family taken care of and I know you guys will take care of them. And that's just because that's community to us.
If we all help each other out, we can create this community together.
Check us out at blackhillstire.com.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. 27 tonight, under overcast skies, southeasterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Mainly clear tomorrow, high of 68. Slight chance of rain showers. Tomorrow night, lows around 37, partly cloudy. A slight chance for snow changing to rain Wednesday and Thursday, 58 Wednesday, 55 Thursday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently 38.
Collins Siding has been the region's premier window siding, door, and gutter installation specialist since 1974. They use only the highest quality materials and never compromise on their workmanship. Collins Siding is licensed, bonded, and their estimates always include labor, materials, and applicable permits and taxes. Collins Siding has been providing top quality service and exceeding high standards for over 45 years, and you can find out how by visiting them at 2016 Cherry Avenue. Collins Siding, 2016 Cherry Avenue, Rapid City.
At Highmark Credit Union, we believe banking should feel personal. That's why when you walk into our lobbies, you'll be greeted by real tellers and friendly staff, ready to help with your questions, big or small. And yes, we've got the latest technology too, for when you want quick and convenient service. The best part? You get to choose. Highmark Credit Union. Personal service backed by modern technology. We'll make it happen. Federally insured by the NCUA.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk.
You know we're ready for hoops tonight when you hear a song like that. Are you ready? If you've been in an arena, you know we're ready for hoops tonight. All right, national championship coming up in a little bit. And we've got Chris Denker on tonight. Women's title game yesterday surprised me. I was traveling back from Denver, so I listened to the play-by-play on the radio side. Really, really good stuff. UCLA just blows out South Carolina. So we'll get to all this. Chris Denker is on tonight, former D1 head coach, Colorado State Santa Clara. He's with Net Scouts Basketball, is his company. Talking hoops tonight. Chris, welcome in. How are you?
Thanks, Nate. Doing great.
Appreciate your time. Let me go to this women's Final Four first. So I want your take on the Gino Dawn Staley thing. I'm watching that. I think I stepped out of the room because the game was decided. So I stepped out of the room. My family goes, "Hey, you just missed it. There was a dust up," and so I had to go back and watch it. Gino apologized now to the staff and said he shouldn't have acted that way. Was he really in the wrong there in that end of game scenario?
Well, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want to handle it that way probably, but what I will say is this, I totally agreed with his statement between quarters. I think it was between the third and the fourth quarter when he was talking about the 6-0 foul count. Now, he did mention how the kid whose jersey was ripped, and then if you saw the replay, she did part of the ripping herself, if not all of it. And, he didn't know that. His staff didn't know that at the time. He was just reacting to, he thought there was a foul in the shot, which I agreed, and then they didn't call it, and then he sees a ripped jersey. So I think he made an assumption there that he's going to have to backtrack on. But, would you want to handle it that way at the end? No. But what I would also say is this, and there's also video evidence of this, he did stand at midcourt waiting to shake hands, and having, as a coach who, I want to say I was in 5 NCAA tournament games, they always give you an itinerary, and they always say, hey, we're going to alternate starters, or we're going to do all 5 starters for you and all 5 for you. And then the coaches are going to be announced, and you're going to shake hands at midcourt. Like, they always tell you that. And he said that for 25-some-odd Final Fours that he's been in, they've always done that. And then she
show up. Now, would he have said anything had the emotions not boiled over to that point? I don't know. Did it get out of hand? Absolutely. And I'm not making excuses for Gino now. I'm kind of segueing here, but I haven't been real thrilled with the way the games have been officiated, including the game yesterday. The physicality, the off-ball holding, the hand-checking with two hands, and I think we're seeing it in this lack of scoring in the women's tournament. These teams aren't scoring points. Now, UCLA did score 79, but South Carolina 51. A bunch of those games, the Elite Eight and early Final Four teams are in the 40s. That isn't fun to watch if you're the fans.
Yeah. I'm trying to ask you, because I see it in girls' high school basketball as well. Sometimes it's just a melee. Is this a girls' women's basketball thing? Physicality. It's like the most physical team wins.
Well, I definitely think it's officiated differently, the men's and women's, and so the physicality part of it, for sure, they're allowing so much more. Like I say, the grabbing and holding off the ball. Even yesterday when Betts would try to cut, they would run a little cross-screen play to get her in the post, and the kid from South Carolina was armbar in the ribs, grabbed the jersey. I mean, it was just for her to cut from one block to the other. And I'm all for, tough defense and be aggressive, but you got to be in position and beat the cutter to the spot, so to speak, things like that, versus just shove. And I feel like that's getting out of control. I feel like, anyway, that gets called at the men's, on the men's game more so, than it did appear to me anyway in the last couple of weeks of the women's tournament.
What do you think of UCLA just blowing out South Carolina yesterday? I listened to that whole game as I was on the road. They jumped on them right away and then just blew the top off. UCLA wins their first title with Coach Close. What do you think?
Yeah, I've known Corey and her assistant Tony for a long, long time, and I'm happy to see them pull that off, and they do a good job. And her team, you could tell even in the post game just how close they are, and obviously when you win it, everybody's celebrating. But you could just kind of see something different with that team. I'm a huge fan of Gabby Jaquez. I think she's just a glue. I've known the Legger Walker kid, the New Zealand kid, for a long time, too. Her sister played before her. Her mom is one of the all-time great players to ever come out of New Zealand. So it's a really good team. And kind of an interesting little sidebar with them is they've gotten, I think they have 4 or 5 players from what I'll call the old Pac-12. So she came from Washington State. Betts was at Stanford. One of them was at Oregon. One of them was at Utah. So they got a bunch of kids from that conference to enter the portal and go there. So that was kind of interesting how they've all come together, and they were dominant. They were very, very good.
Yeah, UCLA wins their first women's title ever. Chris Denker on tonight, Net Scouts basketball, former D1 coach. Let's go to the men's side tonight. So everybody says it's Michigan. It is Michigan. And I understand. I watched the game Saturday night. And Arizona, they blew them out. I felt like that was a one-off. Arizona could never catch up. They just played bad. Michigan played well. I don't see a blowout tonight. Am I off on this? I think UConn takes this to the wire. Michigan might win. I think it's really tight.
Yeah, so I think, obviously basketball fans like us are hoping for a great game, right, Nate? But I'll say this. I've watched Michigan do this at least 4, maybe 5 times this season. Back in the preseason crown, they did it in their first couple of games. They played Gonzaga in the final, and I thought Gonzaga early on, now that was when they had Huff, and they were playing hot too. And they did the same thing to Gonzaga. They went out to a 30-12 start. Few called three timeouts, I think, in the first half. And I saw them do it to Illinois at some point in time during the Big Ten season. And so if tonight they get off to that hot start, and what it has amounted to, I was thinking about this, is what it's amounted to is 2 things. One, hitting some threes, and it seems like it's Lindeborg a lot. Early on, comes out, bang, bang, bang. Or it's a couple transition, maybe a lob dunk, a transition dunk, excitable plays. And if they do that, They're tough because defensively they're so big. I don't know if people realize how long they are. Their guards aren't enormous. Burnett's 6'5". Cadeau's a little guy, but I thought Cadeau dominated the game the other night. He was a stud. But Mara's 7'3", and Johnson and Lindenberger, 6'9", 240. These are big people. And they switch everything. They don't always switch on balls, but they switch everything else, and they cause a problem because it's basically like playing zone. They're man principles, switch, and they're just in position. And so if UConn, it seemed like Arizona was just playing side to side. They were never putting anything in the paint, and then they didn't shoot well, and they got behind. It could never come back. So I think if it's a quick start from Michigan, watch out. Now, I'm kind of with you. UConn, I would have never picked UConn to get into the final, especially after losing to St. John's twice and all that. But I'll tell you one thing. I thought these two teams were the two toughest teams. They competed. They got after loose balls, the ugly stuff, because it's not going to be pretty. Yeah. And UConn has the heart of a champion, and they do not go away. I give them all the respect in the world because I don't think they have the talent that a couple of these teams do, but, boy, they fight.
Here's the thing, Chris. UConn hasn't made their threes. Like, they were really cold against Duke early. They were really cold the other night against Illinois. They still hung around. I think they're eventually going to make some shots. They're not a great shooting team outside of Mullins and maybe Caravan when he's feeling it, but I think UConn finally makes some shots tonight. I think it's tight tonight. Last one, 4 starters for Michigan are transfers, 4 out of 5. Does that matter at all in today's world? People think, this is what you do. You just got to get transfers now to win. I don't really think that matters. It's just college basketball today. What do you think if they win it tonight with 4 starters as transfers?
I think it's just the day and age. I think that's what it is. I think it's reset every year. I was just talking to some coaches today on both the men's and women's side with totally different, like one team only lost or has one kid in the portal and they feel like they're they were co-champs or runner-up or something in their conference. They feel great about next year. And another one says, we only have 2 back and we need 10 new players or whatever. So I think it's this kind of this era, this day and age. I also think that's why, North Carolina hires a guy like Malone. I think, you're thinking, well, he's an NBA coach. He's a pro guy. Hey, we just, free agents, and we get new people, and we coach them up, and we get after it for this year, and we'll see what happens next year. And so I just think that, it is what it is, and that's they've done a good job. Michigan's done a very, very good job of it, but so have some of these other schools. Maybe UConn less. Yeah. They haven't had to as much, but I definitely think that you're going to see more and more of it down the road.
We'll see how Michael Malone handles North Carolina without contracts. No contracts for the players. He might have fun with that. Chris Daker on tonight. Net Scouts basketball. Enjoy it, Chris. Thanks for hopping on.
Take care, Nate.
Appreciate it. Chris Daker in tonight from San Jose, former D1 head coach and pro basketball scout, now Net Scouts basketball, his company. Reaction Monday is upon us. We're into the second hour tonight. Do you think this matchup's good tonight? What does Rob Kegron think of the matchup? Michigan, UConn tonight. I've got my opinion on the way.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
At Renewal by Andersen, we handle everything from start to finish and beyond. We are your full-service custom replacement solution. Buy one Acclaim replacement window or ensemble entry door and get the second 40% off with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Plus an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. Don't wait. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit card transactions around the world every day. That's 11,698 swipes a second. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection being made. The Black Hills Federal Credit Union Visa, for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
A picture window.
Well, sure it is, if you hang a picture on it.
Brilliant.
Yep, that's why you pay us the big bucks. By the way, I'll only take cash.
Make the best decision for your home with exclusive custom-fit Acclaim windows and ensemble doors. Only from Renewal by Andersen. Learn more at rbarapidcity.com.
One more time. This is the Nate Brown Show. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, welcome back in. A second hour is upon us on a Monday. Hope you had a great Easter, a great weekend. We're back on this Monday. The Nate Brown Show is on. Rob Cagron is in. We call it a Reaction Monday on South Dakota Sports Talk Show. It's always a great day in South Dakota, so thanks for being here tonight. We're a little over an hour away from the national championship. I'm a huge basketball fan. You should know this by now. So I've been juiced. I've been ready. Tonight's matchup, Michigan-UConn. It's going to be fun. I will say this. So I'm going to make my pick. I'm going to ask Rob for his pick. Michigan's favored by 6.5. That's an interesting line. So they are telling you it's going to be rather close. I think the national media would say after Saturday night, Rob, well, this is a Michigan walk-away. This is just a run-through, walk in the park. They're just going to run away from them. I don't think that's the case, and Rob's a closet Michigan guy, UConn guy, so he's a Big East guy. And I mean, you act like you don't like him, but you really want him to win because you want the Big East to do well and stuff like that. So I got you pegged. I mean, I understand. And you like Dan Hurley. He's a little fiery like you.
I do like Hurley.
He's a competitor, so I know where you're coming from. I'm going to tell you, UConn's going to make this tight tonight if they finally make shots. I think they might. They might make some shots. They couldn't make them the last 2 games, but they might make some shots tonight. So I think they might. It's going to be tight. Is this a good matchup, Michigan-UConn? Or really, if you're honest, would it have been a lot better with Duke and Michigan? That's probably the matchup we should have seen tonight.
Well, they did play each other in the regular season,
yes.
Duke and Michigan, so it would have been an interesting rematch for sure. I think you're probably right. It's a slightly more interesting matchup. It's not leaps and bounds better, but it's slightly better to have those 2 huge programs. And I don't even mean it because UConn's a massive college basketball program, and they would be going for their 3rd championship in 4 years. So that's not nothing. But when you look at the talent, right? The talent that Duke had this year, UConn has a great team. UConn does not have superior talent to the majority of the top 10 teams in the country. I think we would have to just admit
they don't
that.
have like superstars. No.
Which of the UConn guys is going to the NBA and is going to be a star, right?
I don't know.
I mean, you might have some guys who, or who maybe get their chance, their opportunity in the NBA. Michigan has NBA stars, right? Like, there's just no doubt about it. Duke has that as well. So from that perspective of big name talent that you're going to see play in the pros here pretty soon, I think that would make it a slightly better matchup.
You admit, man, you are genuine today. I couldn't believe it. I thought, I pegged this question. I told Matt Kearney as he's producing the show, I said, I'm going to hit Rob right away today saying this should have been Duke, Michigan. Because I sent you a text. I said, UConn's getting a taste of what they thought against Duke the other night against Illinois. There was Foul City. They were in the double bonus with 11 minutes left. I said, Duke should have been in this game.
Well, I don't think that. I don't think Duke should have been in the game. Duke blew their opportunity, right? I'm being honest with you and saying I think it would be a better matchup, but they don't deserve to be there. UConn absolutely deserves to be in the national championship game.
Okay, so you say they deserve it. So who do you see winning tonight? Do you agree with me? I think that people think it's a Michigan runaway. I do not.
I wouldn't be shocked if it were a runaway. I wouldn't be
runaway?
I don't think that's what would happen, but I wouldn't be shocked. What I saw late on Saturday night against Arizona was extremely impressive. I mean, Michigan dominated that game.
They did.
From the beginning.
Arizona made one run kind of first half. I thought kind of like 10.
Yep.
Well, maybe, and then it was like they gave up. They couldn't keep up.
What I would be concerned about in this game if I were UConn is Michigan just has too much firepower, right? Like they can score in lots of different ways, and you're the only. Now I think UConn can win the game. I would not be shocked if UConn win the game.
What's it? This fence right here? You're straddling it.
My point is this. Here's how I'm going to call this game. If it's a tight game, which you and I both think it could happen, I think UConn wins the game. If Michigan wins the game, I think they win going away.
By 10 plus.
Yeah. And
you do.
I think because here's the formula. Here's the recipe for UConn to really have a chance to win this game. First of all, they have to slow down the tempo. If Michigan scores 90 points, there's no way UConn is losing by less than 10. I would say that for sure, right? If Michigan scores 90 like they did the other night, it's not happening. UConn has to slow the game down, and they have to shoot better from the outside than they have. Now, they did better, at least at parts of the game on Saturday night against Illinois, where they were shooting from outside fairly well. I think if they shoot well from the outside and they slow the game down, keep the game in the 70s, I think they absolutely have a chance to win.
You know what I think of when I think of Arizona basketball? You know the word I think of? Soft. And they were soft on Saturday. They are soft. They're always soft. UConn's not soft. I don't like UConn. I'm not a fan of Dan Hurley, but they're tough. And so they're going to show up tonight. I think it's tight tonight. Let's go to the phones. Thanks for getting in. You're live, and you go ahead.
Hey, fellas. How we doing tonight?
Good, man. What's up?
Good. So I just get your opinion on this. I have always been a fan of teams like Indiana when they won the football championship, because there's a bunch of seniors, bunch of dudes that probably aren't going to be in the NBA, like you said, or the NFL, whichever case. So I'm not a huge UConn fan. I'm not a huge Dynasty fan. I'm not a Patriots fan because they win forever. I'm not a Chiefs fan because they win forever. I want somebody else to win. However, in this particular case, UConn is a team, yes, they've won, but they're, like you said, they're kind of journeymen. I don't know how many dudes are going to be in the NBA from that team. So, as an everyman dude that, to play pickup, I'm cheering for those guys. I can't jump through the roof.
You know who I can't cheer for? Dan Hurley, okay? I just can't find myself.
Hey, cheer for Alex Caravan. That dude's awesome. He's been there forever. He's the glue for the whole team. He's like a coach on the floor. Cheer for that guy.
All right. No, I feel you, man. Thanks for getting in. He's kind of saying UConn, they're underdogs. They're, not a bunch of transfers. There's some, but not a bunch. Not a bunch of superstars. UConn, this dynasty, is like an underdog tonight. They seem that way.
They're definitely an underdog. But I would say, and I think the caller made a good point, that UConn has an identity, right? They play a particular brand of basketball, and it all has to work together for them to win, right? And they've been very successful the last number of years. but they don't have the one guy who can dominate, take over the game. And I do think there's something to be said about teams like that can win tight games because they've played in a bunch of them, and they've played in a bunch of them together. And that's, to me, the recipe to beat Michigan. During this tournament, Michigan has not been threatened.
No, not at all.
Right?
Not at all. They beat some nice teams, but not at all.
And if you're an underdog, that's exactly what you want to happen. You want to have an opportunity to make them feel a little tight in the second half. 8 minutes to go in the game. Can you be within 6 points? Something like that, where Michigan has to start thinking, can we win this kind of tight game? And they're kids, remember? No matter how many times they've transferred, or even if they're kids, right? That is the recipe to beat a team like that.
So, who are you picking? Did I ever get? I mean, you haven't.
No,
you told me this and that. UConn could win. Michigan could win. I'm going to tell you tonight, Michigan's going to win, but it's going to be really tight. So I'm going to go Michigan, really tight. That means within the number, I guess, if you're looking at the betting line, it's 6.5. What does that line tell us? The line's telling us that's kind of tight. I mean, with the Michigan games they've played.
Yeah, I think it's giving a little bit of respect to UConn, right? Agreed. This line probably could have been 9 or 9.5 or even 10. This is a really tough one. I have had a hard time convincing myself of this all day. But I just think that he's such a great coach, and this team plays well together, and I do think that they're due for a night where they shoot the ball really well.
Okay, I'm going
to take UConn for the upset and to win the game. And it's because of the same reason. I think Michigan in a tight game will play tight, right?
And by the way, Lindenborg, their best player, Big Ten Player of the Year, you can say what you want. He's at 70%. He was limping around Saturday, MCL, ankle. That's not good. I mean, they act like they're just going to win without him, no problem.
No, and I agree. That is a big knock. They're going to have, and UConn is going to play tough on him, right? And so they're going to try to aggravate that, right? They're going to try to make it more difficult for him to play when he's out there. I just think that Hurley's too good of a coach, and I think these guys are super focused on winning 3 out of 4, and I think it will go a long way. And I think Dusty May is a great coach, don't get me wrong, and I think he's going to win at Michigan. I just think tonight, if I were Michigan watching that first game on Saturday, I wanted to play Illinois. I don't care how big they are.
Yeah,
that's a team I know I am much better than and can and should beat. UConn is the team I don't want to see.
Yeah, that is right. No, that's what I think. So I think we're in agreement. I'm not going to take UConn. I think it's really tight. Most of the people think it's Michigan running away. I don't think so. I think Michigan wins barely. I think they're just that much better. Hey, by the way, since Michigan, they got 4 starters that are 4 starters that are transfers. So they got one guy that's been there through the Dusty May transition. 4 starters came in this year. Does that matter to you if they win the national championship? 4 starters or transfers? It's my question of the day. We're back with it next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
Want to do more of what you love and earn cash back doing it? With a Visa Cashback Credit Card from Black Hills Federal Credit Union, it's possible. Earn 1.5% cash back on everyday purchases like gas and groceries, and use it to fund your shoe obsession, vinyl collection, or airline upgrade. Plus, spend $2,000 in your first 90 days and get a $200 cashback bonus. Learn more at bhfcu.com/cashback. Offer subject to credit approval. Other restrictions apply.
How do you make a buffet day even better? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade is your place for good food and good times. Won the big game? Make it a play day. Aced your test? Make it a play day. Just need to get out of the house? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade has all your favorites and all kinds of fun. So bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team. For good food and good times, make it a buffet day and a play day at the Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade.
Get ready to swing into spring at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort with grand prize drawings that will win you a different kind of green. We've teamed up with Elkhorn Ridge Golf Club to bring you grand prize drawings every Friday and Saturday night in April. We'll draw for free rounds of golf, and one lucky winner each night will win a couple's membership. Swing into spring and take your game to the next level. Exclusively at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort in Deadwood.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. 27 tonight under overcast skies, southeasterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Mainly clear tomorrow, high of 68. Slight chance of rain showers. Tomorrow night, lows around 37, partly cloudy. A slight chance for snow changing to rain Wednesday and Thursday, 58 Wednesday, 55 Thursday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently 37.
Hi, I'm Tim Wrench, and I'm seeking personal injury cases. If you've been injured because someone else did something wrong, call me up. I'm a trial lawyer. I've tried criminal and civil cases for decades, and I can use all of that experience to help you. I also know this, that when insurance companies know that you're represented by a trial lawyer, they take your claim more seriously, and if it is to be settled, it's settled better with a trial lawyer. Wrench Law, 605-341-1111, wrenchlaw.com.
Danny Manholt Rapid Chevrolet buys cars. You heard that right. We don't just sell cars, we buy them too. We make cash offers to purchase local cars, trucks, and SUVs every day. Tired of listing online? Tired of messages? Or just tired of making payments? Whatever the reason, make an appointment at rapidchevrolet.com for a no-obligation appraisal. It's fast and free. When you're ready to sell, we're ready to buy. At Danny Manholt Rapid Chevrolet, Rapid City.
In the past, if you needed auto body repair, you had to get multiple estimates and then try to get your car into a shop for repair. Well, not anymore. In most cases, you can stop by one shop, get your estimate, and schedule your car for a repair. The question now becomes which shop you choose. If you like quality, choose J&J Truck and Auto Body. They have ASE, PPG, and Gold I-CAR certifications that allow them to offer you a nationwide warranty. And they'll work with your insurance company so you're pleased with the outcome. J&J Truck and Auto Body, 1513 East Philadelphia.
Your sports, your show. From East River to West River, this is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
The Nate Brown Show is on tonight. South Dakota Sports Talk Show back on a Monday. We're ready to roll tonight. National Championship coming up. Michigan, UConn. I think it's great. This is going to be a nice matchup. I really do. The Nate Brown Show with Rob Kegron in tonight, a Reaction Monday with Rob. We are powered by Black Hills Federal Credit Union. When it comes to the best banking partner, that's me and my family's choice. I want you to check it out. Become a member and get the best rates on vehicle loans to personal loans to business loans. They've got it all there. Personal connection and the best in technology and convenience. BHFCU.com. Locations across South Dakota, 18 of them to serve you and your family. Start at BHFCU.com. Become a member. Really easy to get started. Get a bank that works for you. Hey, this is the Chainsmokers in the background. Did we need the Chainsmokers concert on Saturday night? I mean, it was all of a sudden I was waiting for the second game to start, and the Chainsmokers concert started. I mean, who asked for that?
I didn't even know that was what was going on. Like, I realized I kind of set my brain to like 30 minutes after the game ends will be the next game, and
it was like an hour. I mean, it was
a long just
time.
Under an hour, and I was like, "What are we doing, guys?" Like, what? So I didn't even pay attention. I turned the TV off. I kind of just chilled out for a little bit and put it back on. So I missed all of that. So I'm okay with missing it.
Can you believe the player? I mean, the players, they go and warm up. They're getting ready to roll, and then they got to kind of, I don't know if they go to the locker room. You got the chain. So I know it's entertainment. It's the whole thing. But I didn't know we'd break out and do like a Super Bowl concert in between games. Tonight, Michigan has 4 starters that are transfers. So it's my question of the day on the Nate Brown Show tonight. 605-720-1067 on the text line. Does Michigan's transfer players, it's a majority of them, they got starters and they got go-to guys off the bench. Most of them are transfers that just came in. Is that a good look for the game of basketball if they win the national title tonight?
I don't think it's a good or a bad look. It's the look, right? It is what is nowadays, right? The UConns who have these guys who have, and don't get me wrong, UConn gets plenty of transfers too, but the UConns who have a little bit more consistency over a few years, they're few and far between. I mean, the recipe to success, I think, is exactly what Dusty May just showed you, right? He takes over Michigan. He makes them relevant again right away. They're now in a national championship game, and he did it with, I actually think in some ways it's more impressive, right? Yes, you're getting talent in the transfer portal, but you got to get them to play together, right? They don't have 2 or 3 years to develop this junior is developing with this freshman. I think it shows a testament to his coaching ability to get 4 players to play well together and to play well as a team that all came from different schools, right? I mean, and it's not a guaranteed success. I mean, think about what did Kentucky just spend in the offseason with Mark Pope? Like $22 million? They were just average at best, right? So I don't think it's a good or bad look. It is the reality nowadays.
Okay, so 4 starters that are transfers. People say, well, it's the best team money can buy. By the way, you do have to have the players. Now, he must have put together a nice nucleus, a nice group. He's got some guards, a post. People say, well, some of these guys weren't even stars. Cadeau at North Carolina, they didn't want him. Well, I don't know about that, but you still got to have players. Whether he's coaching or not, he had to have money to pay players.
Absolutely. It starts with getting a level of talent. But that doesn't... Think about when the predominant recruiting technique was recruiting high school kids, right? You still had to get the players. Now, an 18-year-old, you could probably develop a little bit more over a few years, but I don't think it's that different. The only difference is the money that's involved now. But recruiting big-time talent has always been a big part of any college basketball coach's responsibilities. And now I get when you have that much money, you can get more top-tier talent. But if you had a great program, you were getting top-tier talent out of the high school ranks year in and year out anyway. Think about Krzyzewski. I mean, how many... Or Calipari would be another great example. Calipari, when he was at Kentucky with all of his one-and-dones, right? He was getting top-level talent. Now you're going through a different process of how you get it.
Okay, so I asked the audience, does it matter to you if Michigan starters are transfers? 4 out of 5 are transfers this year. Does that impact your view of Michigan winning a title tonight? 67% saying no. Paying the transfers is okay. 33% say yes. You got to pay players now just to win. And I said this is big boy basketball. Somebody said, hey, don't be a Michigan hater on the text line. Not at all. I said, what are these guys supposed to do? Everybody wants to win. Nobody cares if you brought in transfers to win. If you win, they think it's okay. If you don't win like Kentucky, then you're a bum. But if you win, that's what it's all about.
Is it that different now than professional sports, Nate? Like, I think of baseball, right? The Dodgers just keep signing every big-time free agent. Does the Dodger fan care that they're bringing all these guys from other teams?
People do, but
I don't particularly like it as a San Francisco Giants fan, but I give them credit for doing it year in and year out and putting those teams together. Dream teams don't always work, right? And we've seen this in the NBA a lot, right? Like where 2 or 3 guys come together, and for whatever reason it doesn't work, that they can't play well together as a team. I don't have any problem with this. It's essentially college sports becoming professional sports. I mean, I think that's really where we're at this point. It's just with less guardrails and less rules. I do think, yes, you have to have the talent, but I think it actually puts more of a premium on the coaching.
And then people will say tonight, oh, Michigan won. It's the best team money can buy. But guess what? Everybody else that's at that level was trying to do the same thing. They all had to pay players at that level. They did.
Oh, absolutely.
UConn's also paying players. Maybe they don't have a flood of transfers. They're paying players.
Absolutely.
Big time.
There's no way to be successful in college sports without having significant budgets to commit to players.
By the way, Jay Billis talking about this whole argument. He argued with John Calipari. I don't know if Rob saw this or not, but it was a big discussion over the weekend before the Final Four. Jay Billis saying, hey, everybody's making billions and millions. The coaches making millions. The NCAA and conferences making billions. And he said, that's everybody's making money, so the players should be able to make the unlimited money. I don't agree with that. They're not talking about the expenses side of this. You can have a business, Rob, that makes billions, but then all the expenses behind it, and then they say, well, actually, we made this much money. So after all the expenses, I don't know how you can have certain colleges continue to fund these programs. The Michigans might be okay. A ton of these programs aren't going to be okay. They're not making billions.
No, revenue has nothing to do with profit, right? Profit.
Right.
I mean, some of the greatest revenue companies in the world, if it cost you X amount just to make that money, well, what does it matter, right? Like you might as well not even bother, right? You're putting in all this effort and work, bringing in all this money, but you're not profitable. So I think there are going to be a lot of college programs that are going to have this problem. And again, why not look to the most successful league in all of professional sports, at least in the United States, the NFL, right? They have rules. They have caps. They have clauses in contracts of what's guaranteed and what's not. I'm not saying you have to copy it word for word, but that system works and makes teams relevant on a year in, year out basis. The problem is the big schools don't want to do any of that because they have X amount of resources and they're willing to take losses for a number of years and figure out other streams of revenue to keep them year in and year out competitive.
John Calipari, who's at a pretty big program, Arkansas, he was on Saturday and said, it's just not sustainable. And then Jay Billis says, oh, that's what everybody says. It's not sustainable. It is sustainable. I don't believe it is.
It's not sustainable for 350-plus Division I college basketball programs. It's sustainable for probably the same way in college football, some group of 15 to 40. I mean, and the sports, it'll be a little bit different. College basketball, smaller rosters, you can do a little bit more. But no more than 40, 50, 60 programs can sustain this.
I got this from an athletic director. This is an FCS athletic director, not here in South Dakota. He's out of state. He said 20 athletic departments in the country didn't need to be subsidized by their institution. So what he was pointing out was there was 20 athletic departments nationwide that could cover their own budget and didn't have to get money from the university and student fees. Only 20.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, right? Most of these, particularly when you think about how many sports they're servicing, and I'm not necessarily looking to say that certain sports shouldn't exist on the college level, but when some of the programs have to support all of the others that bring in little to no revenue, yeah, you're not going to be able to sustain that.
But Jay Billis never says that. He says, everybody's making billions and millions. Well, no, they're not. I mean, the contracts are that. The TV money is there, and then it all gets zeroed out by many of the universities every year. Coming right back, a new hire in North Carolina. They're going to go pro coach again to college. Bill Belichick in football, and now this guy to basketball. We'll discuss the move coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Spring is here and Splash City is blooming with savings. It's their spring kickoff sale. Your backyard retreat is calling. Imagine relaxing, soaking away the day in a brand new Sundance or jacuzzi spa from Splash City. During the spring kickoff sale, get 0% financing for 72 months or save up to $5,000 in instant rebates. Why Splash City? Highest quality brands, largest dealer in spas and hot tubs in the region, and you get huge savings every time. Don't wait. Visit Splash City in Sioux Falls, Rapid City, or Sioux City today.
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Since 1928, Connect Home Center has been proud to serve Rapid City and Spearfish with quality products and customer service that you can trust. In 2000, Connect joined the Mead Lumber family, and now they're taking the next step into their journey. Connect Home Center is becoming Mead Lumber. Same people, same service, just a new name from design to finish. Mead Lumber is here for you, as they've always been. MeadLumber.com.
Ready to be part of something big? Meet the Rapid City Sports Commission, the powerhouse behind sports in Rapid City. The commission focuses on bringing regional and national tournaments, supporting homegrown events, and creating opportunities for our kids. But it's not just games, it's a win-win for all of us. Youth sports fuel our economy. Hosting events in Rapid City means out-of-town families shop, dine, and stay with us, which boosts sales tax revenues too. To get in on the action, visit rcsportscommission.com, where we're all about the hustle.
Doesn't matter where your ride's from.
At Al's D&I, we baby them, every single one. Got a ride from across the pond? No worries. Let the ASE certified pros at Al's D&I pamper your pride and joy. Foreign or domestic, maintenance or repair. Doesn't matter if it requires special parts or tools or if its owner's manual is in another language. At Al's D&I, we don't care where your ride's from, but we do take great care to treat your ride like it is our own. Drive on in to Al's D&I, Sturgis Road, and online at alsdniautorepair.com.
We're talking with Rihanna Wickett at Elevate Performance Physical Therapy for another Elevate Performance Health Minute. Rihanna, as we all get older, one of the most common injuries, pains, back pain.
We see it every day.
There's a lot of things that can cause it, right?
Absolutely. There's a multitude of different things that can cause back pain, whether that's strength or something that you did, you tweaked it. So it's really important that we get you looked at and figure out what's actually causing that, because so many things can cause the different types of back pain.
Okay, so what's interesting about it, you could have pain in the back, but then there's also a problem with your back, and now that turns into sciatica.
Yeah, sciatica, it tends to come down through the buttock into the leg, and back pain generally just stays right within the back. You might have something traveling, numbness and tingling, pain shooting down past the knee even, all the way to the foot. We definitely want to get that taken care of sooner than later.
Back pain relief, sciatica relief. Get started at ElevatePerformanceSD.com.
This is The Nate Brown Show, also streaming live on YouTube. Subscribe to The Nate Brown Show on YouTube.
All right, Rob Kagron is in tonight. It is a Reaction Monday. You found us, South Dakota Sports Talk Show on Fox Sports Radio, our affiliates KWSN Sioux Falls and Fox Sports Rapid City. Appreciate you being here. If you missed parts of the show, go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. Every guest, every show there on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Search The Nate Brown Show, and you've got us on the podcast. Good previews tonight. Anthony Broom live from Indianapolis. He covers the Michigan Wolverines. We had him on from the national championship. Chris Denker, former D1 head coach, he joined us tonight. And Doug Ottewell was in from Denver. He covered Michael Malone as head coach of the Denver Nuggets over those years. Michael Malone wins an NBA championship with the Nuggets 2023. And now Michael Malone today going to take the North Carolina college job. This is a NBA lifer, Rob. So Michael Malone goes from NBA, that's all he's known, to North Carolina. How do you see this working? I watched Michael in Denver, did a good job. Doug talked to him, talked about him. He said he's a tough guy. He wants things done really a specific way, kind of old school. It kind of wore the Nuggets down a little bit, and that's kind of why they parted ways. Michael Malone in the college setting and the transfer portal and the high level, you're going to have to pay players, and they might not like Michael. They're going to head out. What do you think? Is it going to work?
You know, Nate, I'm not positive it's going to work, but I think Danny Hurley, and we talk about him a lot over the last couple of weeks, he shows you that there is a way to be a hard-nosed, old-school mentality coach and be successful. I'm not saying that it works everywhere or that it will necessarily work at UNC, because I do have my doubts, but I don't see it as a mistake, let's say that. Right? I don't think see it as a mistake for UNC or for Malone, right? I think it gives him an opportunity to coach and really have influence over these young athletes in a way that you can't do in the NBA. And I think that's, you said it well, right? They just got tired of Malone in Denver, right? It just, that kind of way of doing things only works for so long with professional athletes. Think about the successful basketball coaches. They're more often than not in the NBA. They're more often than not a bit hands-off, right? A bit player-friendly, a bit let the players kind of run things a little bit. Not always, but to a certain extent. Guys like Steve Kerr, right? They have that, or now it's almost like the big-time stars are bringing in their hand-picked coaches, right? Because they want to have that kind of atmosphere. I think it can work at UNC. What will really be the testament, though, is who does he surround himself with to bring in the players? Because Michael Malone's not scouting college players, right?
Well, and Bill Belichick played this terribly. He went back to the old school and got old GMs from the NFL, and he made him his GM, and they tried doing that at North Carolina football, and it's a mess. How's Michael Malone? He's got to recruit now. He's got to be in that mix. I think he has respect, but is he going to be able to recruit, and who's he going to bring? NBA guys or college guys or what?
Well, he should be bringing in college guys, right? You have to have been involved in this process over the last couple of years to go take over running the portal and trying to bring in transfers at a program like UNC. I completely agree with you. Bringing in someone from the NBA does not help your cause, right? It is a completely different way of doing business, a completely different way of attracting young athletes to your school. I would surround myself. Now, on the coaching level, you want to bring in NBA coaches? I think that's fine. But for the actual, the way you construct a roster in the NCAA at this point, that has to be done by people who have some experience doing that.
Okay, I think about this. I go, okay, you're a player. You could choose North Carolina, Michael Malone, NBA coach, or John Shire, Duke, and the big brand of Duke. And you think, well, John, college guy. If you're a player, you're thinking, am I going to go with Michael Malone? I wonder what they think now. It didn't help Bill Belichick being a Super Bowl champion.
No, it didn't at all. And it might in a couple of years for Belichick, right? Because if he can develop a somewhat winning culture there, I've told you this before, a kid, if he's getting good advice from people, should be told, Belichick is going to prepare you for the next if they think that they can be an NFL talent. Belichick's going to prepare you way better than a lot of other coaches for the NFL. May not be always perfect in the NCAA, but for the NFL. I don't think the same applies to the NCAA, so I think your point is valid. I think I should have said to college basketball. I think you'd go to Shire before you'd go to Michael Malone at UNC.
It's interesting. Michael Malone now will have a pretty darn good program. Now, Bill Belichick really didn't. I will say that. At UNC football, not much, really. So Michael Malone stepping into a premier program. Can he get it done? I have no idea. No idea.
Nate, what does the hire really say, right? They couldn't get Tommy Lloyd. They couldn't get Dusty May. It sure looks like Billy Donovan was open to the job, but wanted to wait until his season ended.
I guess. They wanted to do this NBA thing. I don't know what the deal is.
Well, I think part of it is you can't get your first choices on the college level. And now you're at a point where the portal opens tomorrow, correct?
Yep, so tonight at midnight.
You got to do something, right? You got to have some stability on top there if you want to attract, unless you want to throw away a whole year. And obviously a brand like UNC doesn't want to do that. So they were forced into a corner where they had he's still a good selection. But he wouldn't be top of mind when you were thinking UNC head coach.
He is NBA champion for the Nuggets. That was 2023. Michael Malone, I was surprised by it. He's going to go to North Carolina, so another pro coach. We've seen college guys go to the NBA. Patino, Calipari, some of these guys, Brad Stevens, didn't work out.
Yep.
Now pro guy back to, to college for the first time. Intriguing to watch. It is Masters Week. Masters Week. It's Rob Kagron's. I think it might be one of his favorite weeks. We'll wrap up the show with this read. Where's golf at right now? It's Masters Week. Are you plugged in? Coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sports.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
At Renewal by Andersen, we handle everything from start to finish and beyond. We are your full-service custom replacement solution. Buy one Acclaim replacement window or ensemble entry door and get the second 40% off with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Plus an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. Don't wait. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit card transactions around the world every day. That's 11,698 swipes a second. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection being made. The Black Hills Federal Credit Union Visa, for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
This is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown.
All right, we got a few minutes left on the Nate Brown Show tonight. Thanks for listening. As always, making the show possible. We appreciate you. South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Rob Kagron on tonight. A Reaction Monday on a National Championship Monday. Coming up in an hour, tip-off. Hey, by the way, do you wait and you watch One Shining Moment? Is that a must? You have to watch One Shining Moment. I'd like to know from you tonight.
100%. I look forward to it. The music.
Yes.
The just the scenes from the tournament over the last 3 weeks. I mean, these 3 weeks are so exciting. I think it's one of the greatest traditions in sports.
Yes,
to have that look back over the last 3 weeks.
It is outstanding. You have to wait, and they kind of make you wait quite a while now till after the whole thing, but you have to watch.
And the fact that it's still that goofy song after all these years and they haven't changed it to something else is incredible. I love it.
Matt Kearney does not like the song. He does not like the song. I don't know what his deal is, but you might want to live a little tonight, watch the song and all the emotion and feel warm and fuzzy inside. It'll make you feel good tonight. By the way, it's Masters Week. Where is the game of golf right now? It's Masters Week, and Rob Kagron is #1 golf fan. I got to say, Rob, I'm a casual fan. I'm not too excited. I don't see a lot of juice right now.
I'm surprised you're not excited. I mean, Rory McIlroy finally got through and won the Masters first time last year. You have him, Scheffler, and what I really love is the Masters is the first opportunity to see all the big talent together because of the fractured nature of golf. You got Jon Rahm, you got DeChambeau, you got McIlroy, you got Scheffler. I think that's a big deal, right? And I think golf has a lot of up-and-coming young talent. It's not necessarily for the casual fan, but it's only getting better, right? Competition in golf is better than it's ever been. As great as Tiger was, and I don't think he would have lost many tournaments because of increased competition, because that's how good he was. The competition right now is way better than when Tiger was in his prime.
So really what it comes down to me, and maybe you want Scheffler, maybe you want McIlroy, some of the names, but I think what it comes down to, you just want somebody tight on Sunday. I think if you have a tight deal on Sunday, it's the Masters, I think you get big numbers.
If you in the back nine, if you have 2 or 3, 4 guys within a stroke or two of the lead, where there's so many things that can happen there, absolutely. Now, you put the big names in there. You put it again like a McIlroy, DeChambeau, Scheffler.
Yes.
Including some of those guys who don't get along with each other. Then it's even more intriguing.
It's interesting where golf's at right now. Masters Week is on. Rob Kagron is in tonight. A Reaction Monday. Enjoy the game tonight. The Nate Brown Show back tomorrow. See ya.
When you win the new Millionaire for Life daily draw game from the South Dakota Lottery, you don't just win $1 million.